Hi everyone, it's Elizabeth from Elpis Astrology at elpisastrology.com. If you enjoy these videos, please subscribe. I would really appreciate it. If you have the funds, if you could donate on my website at elpisastrology.com, I would appreciate that. So this is my take on the astrological forecast for May 2020. We have a full moon in Scorpio, a new moon in Gemini. We have a few planets going retrograde. And most notably, we have the north nodes of the moon, which is our collective destiny, now going into Gemini for the next 1.5 years. Okay, so let's start off. On the 1st of May, we have a Mercury conjunct Uranus. So this talks about volatility in our thoughts as well as in our speech. Now, at its worst, it could be unstable mental situation. But it could typically play out in someone that is just getting angry. Angry words are typically what I read for this. But it can be angry thoughts too. So take care around this time. We have our first north nodes of the moon now in Gemini at 29 degrees, right? That's really interesting. So that's at the 6th of May. And what you need to do is look to, say, about 19 years ago to see what themes were coming up for yourself, but I'm going to be doing another extended video like I always do, and I'm going to be discussing these north nodes of the moons in Gemini, as well as the opposite south nodes in Sagittarius. I actually have my north nodes. I was born with them in Sagittarius, so this is me, I guess, letting go of some things. But I'm going to go into depth about each of the ascendants as well, so you'll be able to figure out what area of your life over the next 1.5 years will be activated. But know that when you've got the north nodes in Gemini, this really does speak to more cerebral type things, exchanging information, working within society with regards to discussion, and maybe even debates. We have this full moon on the 7th of May in Scorpio at 17 Scorpio 20 at 3:46 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time. So this puts the sun in the opposite sign, which is Taurus, at 17 degrees Taurus, 20 minutes. And this sun is conjunct Mercury, also in Taurus. This is going to put an emphasis on a desire for stability. But because this is a full moon, we know that the moon is opposite the sun. So the moon now is opposite the sun as well as Mercury. And so this says there may be, although you're seeking stability, that you've got conflicting feelings about it, and maybe conflicting connections with background noise that bring up fears, compulsiveness, even some drama, but at the very least, quite deep emotions. Typically, we describe Scorpio as still waters run deep, and I think that's pretty accurate. But some of the best ways to use this is, this is a full moon, it's a wrap-up, a conclusion of some sort, would be to, it could be some kind of program that you're in for psychological development. This could be a major turning point for that type of thing. But certainly Scorpio, we're really being asked to look at our shadow side and how we react from a psychological standpoint. We have Venus is going to be squaring Neptune, so this could be disappointment in love or a fantasy. But this can also be a highly romantic type of energy where we just feel this is our soulmate. And I talked about this last month too, but this is still ongoing now. So the next day we have Venus, that's on the 8th of May, we have Venus going retrograde in Gemini. And that's at 21 Gemini 50 till the 25th of June, where it goes direct at 5 degrees of Gemini. So both 5 degrees of Gemini and 22 degrees of Gemini are very important. Take a look on your chart, see what house or houses these are in. I also did a video on Venus retrograde in Gemini. I'm going to put the link below. It's 30 or 40 minutes, and I go into all the ascendants so you can figure out what area of your life or areas of your life are affected. So at this new moon in Gemini on the 22nd of May, we have the new moon at 2 degrees of Gemini, 5 minutes at 10:38 Pacific Daylight Time. New moons, we always have the sun and the moon together, so they're both in Gemini. This moon and sun trine stabilizing Saturn in Aquarius. So this is stable news, reliable news, favorable, wise information comes our way. So I really see this as a new potential start for all of us around the 22nd of May. It doesn't mean we're all out of the woods regarding this coronavirus, but certainly there's going to be some new information come up that is going to be shared with the world that will be very factual and that we can rely on it. Now, we have this Saturn at this time also conjuncting Pallas Athena, and in mythology, basically Pallas Athena was really the wise warrior who was really interested in strategy, but doing it in a high level way. And I see this potentially as a time when new strategies are discussed and perhaps even rolled out. But I think at its highest level, this Saturn Pallas Athena is really asking us as a society to build connections, build bridges, and not to build walls. Now Saturn can encourage both of these. So I see in many respects the old school wanting to build walls everywhere. This is like enclosing borders. I'm not saying there isn't a usefulness to that at certain times, but as a permanent thing, going that way. And I think we're going to have our youth and more enlightened saying that we have to really build these bridges and connections within all our societies so that we're connected and can put something stable in there for all of us, in all our institutions. That's just generally speaking for me. We have Mars sextile in Uranus, and this to me just says there's going to be a lot of enthusiasm, positive enthusiasm, at least opportunities for it around this time. We have Jupiter conjunct Pluto, and at its worst this can be us being very self-righteous, but it really is for us to grow psychologically and looking at our shadow side. I also did a whole video on this. I'll put that link below, and I also go into your ascendants, so your actual part of your life that is affected by this, because it's 3 times over 2020 that this happens. The birthdays for this new moon in Gemini, so happy new year for all Geminis, is the 22nd to the 24th of May, and then ascendants that are between 1 and 3 degrees of Gemini. When we look ahead to June, we have a Mercury retrograde that's going to be in Cancer. We have our first eclipse at 0 degrees of Cancer, and that's on the summer solstice in the Northern Hemisphere. And we have Venus go direct at the end of June. So we've got a packed June as well, and major developments happening with that eclipse too, especially as it relates to our security, our home, our homeland, etc. Please take care of yourself, everybody. I think we probably still have to keep our distance, and I think you can see my little Buddha here is also wearing a protective mask over his or her nose and mouth. I'm continuing to follow whatever guidance I'm being given. But know there's brighter days ahead. We're getting this behind us, certainly by the time we get into May, at the end of May, at that new moon. Really something to look forward to. Take care of yourself. Please leave me comments. As I mentioned earlier, please subscribe. If you've got any funds that you can lend or give to me, please go to my website. I've got a donate button there where you can donate whatever you can. I will talk to you soon. Take care of yourselves, everybody. I'm thinking positive thoughts.